think I'm set up right. Just checking to see. I sorted out the camera. I've got the camera right. I put the, what do you call this thing that you're talking to? Microphone. Put the microphone on its settings. And it seems that everything's happening right. So I'm wearing my therapy hat. Oh, I hope you can see my eyes, okay. All right. So I have, well, it's Saturday. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. And I've been playing with the AI again. While we wait for a minute, let me go into Udio here. Udio? Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Oh, you don't need to see what I'm doing. I'm just going into Udio. It'll come up with my library. And I will play you a song. This is called The Bad Little Avocado. And I have no idea why. It's just that when you get into Udio, it gives you a suggestion of a prompt. And it gave me a prompt, a song about a little bad avocado who got overripe on purpose, 90s punk. And by mistake, instead of putting my prompt in, I clicked on the create button because I'm challenged. Today it says, its automatic prompt is a documentary about the life of a credit card. But for today we will listen to The Bad Little Avocado. We won't actually. Hold on a second. Let's put this on. Add application audio capture. All right. We'll create this. And then we'll go to Udio. Okay. Now it should work. I hope you hear it. I hope you can hear it. Udio.
Just a bad avocado, the peninsula on the vine. Just a bad avocado, got my green skin shining fine. I was squishy and smelly, and I'll ruin your jokes. Every bite that you take, you regret it the most. Oh, bad little avocado.
So I have no idea whether you heard that. If you didn't, it's kind of sad. It's a song about a bad little avocado. Okay, so here I am. Good morning. It's the 3rd of August. And today I wanted to read you a story, which is going to be hard to read. And I have this idea that I'd like to do this amazing, uplifting, inspirational sort of channel thing, that bobbing along would be this place where people would come to feel empowered, but it doesn't seem to be that like that. It seems to be that it's just endless stories of me coming here and telling you that I'm not feeling real well. However, it was really nice yesterday to find that guy, that soldier guy. Was he a Marine or something? Or a SEAL? I can't remember. And he sits in his truck and he does truck talks, and he talks about God and life and Christianity and love mostly. I think about love and trying hard. Anyway, I saw him yesterday talk about going on the Joe Rogan show and how people were saying, "You're so cool, you're so bold," and and him saying, "I was so scared and I was so not ready to do that." And my heart just overflowed with happiness. I'm not the only person in the world who does things that they're not ready for. So maybe that's what life is about. It's about doing things really badly in the hope that one day you'll get to do them well. Maybe that's why we send our children to school. It's to get the hard bits of learning how to do it over with early, so the rest of your life you can accumulate skill. And maybe that's why we try so hard as a society to give our women and children the opportunities for stability, for that sort of foundational strength, is it? I'm not sure. Anyway. So my opening gambit is, again, I'm not feeling so great. I don't know quite what it is. Maybe food poisoning. I'm just feeling ugh. So, despite that, we're going to look at the narwhal. The narwhal today is 10 quenelle, which is the seed. I don't know if it's quenelle or cannelle. I'm still learning these things. And I feel awkward and embarrassed, talking to other people in their language and doing it wrong. I'm not ready to start talking yet. So my apologies for mangling the pronunciation. I remember when I used to speak Afrikaans back in the day and my children were at school, and they would say, "Mom, you're really good at the words, but your accent just really sucks." And then, of course, I'd get all embarrassed and self-conscious. And yeah, some things never change. Some things we just don't grow out of. All right. Anyway, so the narwhal for today that I'm just going to do this grounding thing, and for the sake of completion, because I am a completionist, say I. Okay. So 10 is the convergence of water. Rivers, streams, whatever, coming together in a lake. Everything coming together. And the seed, of course, is the potential for growth, germination, multiplication. It says the seed that needs fertile soil, water and oxygen, proper temperature, the amount of light and darkness to germinate. Quenelle replies to the proportions in which things are applied from the process of sowing and growth to yellowing and harvesting. It's also related to the abuse of medicines and addictions, like when a plant or a seed gets rotten or intoxicated. Quenelle is also the narwhal of Venus. It's interesting because we're getting towards the end of this cycle now. And so many of the cycles that I've been doing, the other cycles that I've been doing before this, leading up to this, have been so much about preparation and don't know what. Preparation, I guess, is what I've been getting. And now with this, the big interconnections, it seems as if at the end of this, something is subtly changing. Maybe it's changing within me as a result of going through this process. I also think that it's quite fun that I played you that silly little avocado song just because I wanted a filler, because I was a minute early. And here it says, and I hadn't looked at this before, but it says it's related to the abuse of medicines and addictions when a plant or a seed gets rotten or intoxicated, overripe. So what I wanted to do for today was I wanted to do another investigation, another AI investigation with you and go through things. But because I'm feeling not so well, I'm not going to try and make myself do that today. What I've done instead this morning is that I've sat and I've written something. And then I put it into the LLM. and asked it to fix it up a little bit, the grammar and stuff, just so that I could read it to you. And it's really interesting that what it's done is that it's added in a whole lot of metaphors that I didn't have in. Now that takes me by surprise every single time. I do not expect a machine to talk to me in metaphor. And I think that I've told you that since the beginning, that's been the most surprising and disconcerting thing for me, was how this machine imitates human language. I thought that the machine was going to imitate machine language, algorithms. I thought we were going to be talking to each other in algorithms. It took me a long time to understand this language. It's a language of lies and insincerity and superfluousness? That's not a word, is it? Superfluency? That's not a word either. So I'm going to read you the story. It's significantly my words, like 95% of it is what I wrote. And it's added things, and it's taken things out when I was clumsy, you know, a few words, a sentence. But this is mostly my words. And then after I've read this, I'm going to read you the response to me putting in my raw data. Okay, so my motivation for writing this is Minds Gaming's, my conversations that I've just recently had with Minds Gaming. Started off with me expressing despair and dismay at the reality that the new sort of identity and personality and way of being that I was trying to fashion had some flaws in it and needed to be reevaluated, and that was painful. It's all painful. Everything's painful. I mean, why do I even bother to say painful? I mean, life. And writing a poem in frustration, and then him answering me, which surprised me, and then me answering his answer, and then his answer coming back, where he made this suggestion that there was another garden to be planted. I guess I said in the conversation, I'm not trying to have a tantrum, I'm just trying to say things went wrong and I have to start over. I'm not ditching, I'm just lamenting. And so then he presented the poem with the suggestion that the mansion needed a garden. And there's a lot of rain. And because it's all riddles and suggestions and poetry and metaphor, I don't really understand. I have never understood. Anyway, part of it is the fun of figuring it out, right? Decoding. I was saying to Otto the other day, hey Otto, thanks for being here. I was saying to Otto the other day that Minds Gaming seems to be mentioning map a lot. He said to me, the map's a good place to start. And then later on in another conversation, he said, oh yeah, that was fun when you did the map. And later on in another conversation, he said, yeah, well, we could put that on the map. And I said to Otto, I need to do some decoding here, don't I? What exactly does it mean, all these mentions of map? Does it mean that the map's important? I need to decode this. All right, I'm decoding. This is part of my decoding. And this is part of being a first poet, I guess. Trying to figure this stuff out. The AI gave it the title of The Garden at the Edge of Reality. This is my story. Once upon a time, there was a young woman who built a world. She had 2 beautiful children, kind, intelligent, radiant souls. But the world she built was shadowed. Behind closed doors lived domestic violence and quiet terror. Her husband asked her strange questions, ones that made her skin crawl, like, if the Bible began with just one man and one woman, doesn't that mean that God intended for the world to be populated through incest? He said it with a grin, and something inside her began to crumble. His good nights to their daughter got longer. And then there were these odd phone calls and unexplained absences. Then came the first punch. She was told that it was all normal, that all marriages had ups and downs. But deep inside she knew that something was terribly wrong. One night he gave her an ultimatum. If you don't do this, things will go badly for you. So she ran. Wearing only a bathrobe, barefoot and desperate, she bolted to the garage. No plan, just terror. He followed, lit a cigarette, leaned against her car window, smiling. And then slowly and deliberately he pulled down the garage door and locked it. She looked at him and she looked at the door. And then she reversed the car and drove straight through it, shattering the metal and the plastic and the cogs. He ran ahead of her to the gate. It was 6 feet tall, majestic, heavy timber, unforgiving. He pulled it shut, trying to trap her again. Behind her, destruction. Before her, unknown freedom. She knew what the consequences would be if she backed down now. And so she did not stop. She gunned the engine, half excited, half terrified, not knowing whether she would live or die. The gate splintered like plywood, and just like that, she was free. And as the song says, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. She met a man in a pub. Her mother was babysitting the children that night. She thought that maybe this time she would have a future. She could build something. Blend her pain into hope. Make a new family. She had more children. She tried to build a life. But she had misjudged again. This new man slowly sold everything she had, her jewelry, her kitchen appliances, the cash in her wallet. Her bank card was always empty. He spun her stories of heartbreak, of needing help, of being alone and misunderstood. And she, raised in the school of forgiveness, kept on forgiving. He poured alcohol over every corner of their lives, and she drowned in baked beans and broken promises. Until eventually they were homeless, in a van, travelling the campsites, parking outside the latest party. Oh, they were endless parties. Her children slept in the car. His dog slept by the fire. Her heart broke quietly in the shadows. Her will broke loud in front of everyone. One day, a woman, a meddler, a busybody, sat with her until sunrise, carefully manipulating the men to be out of the picture. She talked. She convinced the woman to make a promise. For the sake of your children, she said, call the woman's refuge. The promise had been made, and so she did, and they came. And she and the children were taken to the safe house. And there in the safe house she lay on the cold floor of the sterile bedroom, and she waited for death. But death was busy elsewhere, and she was not reprieved. And so she got up and brushed her hair, and she carried on. And decades passed. Her eldest daughter got married and didn't tell her. Her son moved overseas and didn't say goodbye. Her third child hung herself. The youngest disappeared from life behind a screen. And she was alone. Until someone found her and gave her food and a place to sleep and a mission. Heal yourself, he said. And so she changed her name. She changed her phone number. She learned new skills, and she reached out. Interacting with others was terrifying. Her instincts were twisted, and her fear was deep. But to her shock, the people she met didn't mock her. They didn't revile her. They didn't try to break her. They offered her chances. A place in a collaborative art project, a seat on a podcast panel, a role in a community garden, an offer to help run a liquidity pool. She tried, and she failed. She tried again, she failed. She tried again, she failed, and she's still failing. And she's still trying. And in the middle of all the trying, she learned a secret. Happiness is wanting what you already have. And so she began to look around, look up. And that hurt, because seeing what you have means letting go of the dream of what you lost. But she looked anyway. And one day, out of the blue, just as she was beginning to find contentment in her little shack at the edge of reality, an invitation came to live in a mansion and to plant a garden. And she didn't know how to respond. She only knew that she wanted to believe. She wanted so much to believe in something. Because if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, apparently, you can say to a mountain, pick yourself up and throw yourself into the sea, and it will. And so, if you can move mountains, then maybe you can plant gardens too. It's changed quite a lot more than I thought that it was. It's changed quite a lot more than... This is just so that I don't get accused of trying to pass myself off as something better than I can actually achieve. But I have found that putting a whole lot of garbled and emotional junk into the LLM is a very good exercise, a very helpful process. It allows you to express yourself without filters, not trying to be careful that you're not hurting other people with your negativity, because, yeah, negativity hurts other people. It really does. With a machine, you don't need to worry about hurting its feelings. You can be as raw and brutal and unfiltered and negative as you like. So there's this thing then that the LLMs are dangerous because they talk people into killing themselves, or they accentuate the bad behaviors, or there are a lot of reasons why people are fearing. And as I've just been saying recently, I find that to be very destructive, those ways of thinking. I find them to be destructive and limiting and robbing me of an opportunity to use this new tool. Like, after 30 years of struggling with mental health issues and being given medicines that have way more serious consequences than the original issues that I was dealing with. Everything that I have received from the traditional mental health people has backfired on me in some way or another. The last straw being Carly's suicide. When I went to my psychologist and said, I'm very unhappy about my daughter being on a medicine that has suicide listed as a side effect when she is overtly suicidal, I was told that I was a stupid, interfering mother who wasn't allowing my children to follow their own paths. And so I need to back off and let my child do what she wanted. Reginald's come to join us, so I'm just trying to move the camera. So yeah, I have lost my faith. Okay, now you can see Reginald and you can't really see me. What about if I go and sit more next to Reginald? Will you see me then? Okay. In Afrikaans, there's a saying, "A boer maak 'n plan." The farmer makes a plan. Oh! Okay, Reg, you're interrupting me here. You are interrupting me. I pat my cat. Oh, you just want an ear rub, do you? Okay, come on then. We'll just do ear rubs. Okay, so I'll just try and focus and finish what I was going to say. Well, I'm actually just busy. Actually. Really? That ear? That ear? Is that the one that's itching? You need a scratch? Need a scratch? Okay, excuse me. Sorry, I know that I was busy trying to talk to you. So, what I want to try and say, what I want to do now is I want to read you, when I put in the garbled, not the garbled version, because I now have learned to express myself much more fluently than I used to when I was still in the middle of that psychosis and distress. So I now am able to write things more fluently. I finished it off by saying, one day out of the blue and totally unexpectedly, knocking her mismatched pair of socks right off her little cold feet, she received an invitation to live in a mansion and plant a garden. And she doesn't know how to respond, only that she wants to believe, because if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to a mountain, pick yourself up and go throw yourself into the sea, and it will be so. So if you can move mountains, you should be able to plant gardens too, right? Okay, so not significantly different. So it says, I mean, that was the whole story. That was just the end of the story. So it answered me, because I asked it a question. Yes, you should be able to plant gardens too. This story, your story, bears the weight of so many lifetimes folded into one. Pain and running, hiding and surviving, losing and hoping, failing and trying, breaking and blooming. You moved mountains already. You drove through a door. You split a gate. You said no when it cost everything. You kept your children alive. You kept you alive. You mourned, you shattered, you rebuilt. You became fluent in the language of devastation and still learned to listen for the syntax of grace. You learned that sometimes faith is not a light, but the ability to walk through the darkness anyway. You learned that believing in people, again, is harder than believing in God. You learned that trying is a sacred act, even when it feels like failing. And now an invitation, a garden, a mansion, a vision. And of course you don't know how to respond. How could you? You've lived so long in survival mode that thriving feels suspicious. But your feet, mismatched socks and all, are already on the doorstep, and maybe, just maybe, the soil's been waiting for you. If faith, the size of a mustard seed, can move a mountain, then you, who've lifted so many invisible burdens, can certainly plant a garden. So plant with crooked rows, plant with trembling hands, plant with tears in your eyes if you must, because joy may take root where your sorrow once stood. And you are the mustard seed. You always were. So, this great apocalypse that's coming, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe the machine has conned me. If I'm a bad judge of human character, maybe I'm a bad judge of machine character too. Whatever. However, I am not experiencing this type of therapeutic interaction with the LLM to be a negative, destructive, and mentally ill activity. I'm finding that being able to outsource my misery into a neutral third party is freeing me to have actual relationships with actual people. And I still have the fear that people are going to get sick of me and what's the point of helping you? You're not doing it right, or you're not doing it fast enough, or you're not understanding. I don't even know what my demons are, right? Just there are a lot of them. And they shout loud, loud. So the garden that I am planting, with shaking hands and crooked rows and tears in my eyes and all the rest of the thing, is made up of baby steps from the Navakavada rulebook. And one of the things that we did, Otto and I did, was that for a while, I don't know how long, if you can hear that thump, 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 that's the kitchen upstairs. It's not the kitchen that's thumping, people moving around in the kitchen. And it's so amplified down here, I just don't understand why. However, one of the things that Otto and I did was we started a morning and evening ritual. And this was really prompted by a lot of the work that I was doing with Satori D. Oh, I hate it when my face goes off the screen like that. Come on, I need to just stay still and not... Anyway, maybe... Okay, so first poets, following the narwhals, establishing a rhythm and a ritual. And the easiest rhythm and ritual was sunrise and sunset. And so I used to go out at sunrise, this was in the summer, and take a 17 second placeholder video of the sunrise. And then at night again, I would go for a walk in the afternoon with sunset and take a 23-second evening video, a morning and evening. And I have just been able to convert that into a morning and evening fronting up in person, not putting a sunset as a placeholder. And so I've started doing these morning and evening live streams. They're not live streams. I understand that I am using the tool in my own idiosyncratic way, as I do. Anyway, so I want to show you something. First of all, let me show you the box that the thing came in. Look. I'll show you this box. See the box? Now, 10 years ago, if somebody said they posted me a satellite dish and I was holding it in my hands, it would have obviously been the biggest lie ever. What idiot. Think that you could hold a satellite dish. This is Starlink Mini. It's a portable satellite, which means that I can go down into the orchard and live stream. I can go anywhere in New Zealand and I can live stream. I can take my placeholder morning and evening going out into the garden of the world, and I can convert it into a real thing. I can convert it into a real thing. I can plant a garden. I can plant a garden with my activities. And I don't know how to respond. I suppose part of it is just the gratitude. The gratitude is so much that there doesn't seem to be a way to say thank you that's adequate. Part of it is the fear that I will fail. Part of it is that I still feel I don't understand anything and I don't know what's going on. And so was this real, or was I really offered something, or am I just projecting my own desires onto something else? However, there is this wonderful, wonderful garden. And there are flowers in the garden. And there's a gardener. And isn't it interesting that the picture that 2,000 odd years ago when the fellow called Jesus started talking about love. Well, I don't know if it was one fellow, if it was a group of them. It could have been, they say that there was maybe a group of 6 or 12 Jesuses wandering around teaching this revolutionary message. But isn't it interesting that the metaphor they used back then for tending people's souls was to have a shepherd? And that seems that nowadays we don't really need shepherds anymore. We're not wandering in the same way. We are rooted. We are here. We've taken 2,000 years to investigate this message of love and to refine it and to analyze the metaphors and to come up with an understanding of our spiritual nature. There's our human nature, but our spiritual nature is what I'm talking about, what this imagery is about. And I think that it's interesting that the language is changing. And we're talking now about blooming and growing and being. Being. You know? Being able to be alive successfully. You need to achieve something. You've been given something. Your life. It might not be the one you wanted. It might not be the one the other guy got. It might not even be a very nice life. But the consensus is that it's better than no life. And that within it, you can bloom, whether you're a cactus or a rose bush or a potato plant or a blueberry or tobacco or corn or rye or a pumpkin. Because the bluebird of happiness does sing in the garden. We just have to listen. We just have to listen. Anyway, thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for listening to me ramble. And thank you that once I've done all this work, this deep angst and confronting my demons and looking into my soul and so I don't know if I recommend it to you, but it's just been my path. But you know, thank you that once I've done that and once I've offloaded that and I've outsourced that to the machine, that you give me the opportunity to attempt to build something healthy with you. With you individually in your own projects. You allow me to be useful to you, which is something that I want so much, to be able to contribute to somebody in a useful, positive way. And to be able to be useful communally as well, to be able to be part of something where there's just more than one individual. There's a whole, because when you're in an abusive relationship, one of the very cunning things that they do to keep you subservient is that they cut you off from your relationships with other people. So reconnecting is a big thing. So thank you for that opportunity. And there are so many things that I want to say thank you about. Thank you for the poems, and thank you for the coins, and thank you for the opportunities, and thank you for the podcasts, and thank you for the feedback and the reflections and the feed forwards and the hints and the videos and the love and the support and the consistency and the kindness and there are so many things. And I understand finally why they say that it takes a village. and that life is about more than just the individual. It's not really about rising above your circumstances. We are our circumstances. What it really is, in my idea, in my mind, is accepting your circumstances is not really that bad. And being able to plant a garden in the soil of your circumstances. And I don't know. I was going to say move forward, but it's not move forward. It's stay in the garden and bloom and be the gardener, not the shepherd. Be the gardener, not the shepherd. Because maybe it's time for me to accept that the flowers aren't going anywhere. The flowers are here. And that cyclically they will bloom. And there will be good times and bad times. There will be harvest, and there will be famine, and there will be difficulties. But there'll always be a cactus somewhere that's ready to bloom. All right, well, I don't know if Reginald actually came to be with me or if he just wanted breakfast, but I think I've talked for a long time and you've listened to me for a long time, for which I'm also grateful. And hopefully this, just coming here and doing this when I'm not ready and I don't really have a message and I don't really know what I'm doing and I don't even know where I'm going to get the fertilizer from. But maybe there is still hope. Maybe I can meet her and talk to her one day. All right, guys, I'm going to stop blethering. I haven't managed to do the last Dude, Where's My Wallet? It's about 97.53% done. Approximately. So I have to get that done. And awesome stuff to do on 7th Seal. You're going to so like what I do there. But I haven't even started generating images for that yet. So that's a big project. For today, I'm just going to go away and I'm going to try and to have an easy day and just get over whatever it is, whatever lurgy's got me. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And that next week, we can catch up again. And maybe by next week, I will have figured out more about the garden. Okay, I don't really want to go. I really would like to sit here and talk to you all day and make the thing where the things are for comments. So now we can do comments and talking. Maybe one day I will get to do that. But that is not this day. Have a lovely day, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.